So you're looking at moving to Idaho and you're thinking about buying a new construction home. Well, in this video, I'm gonna be going over everything you need to know about buying a new construction home from A to Z. I'm standing in a new build here. This is predominantly what I focus on as a real estate agent here in the Treasure Valley. I moved from San Diego, California a couple years ago with my wife and my kids, and I have a master's degree in construction management from the University of Southern California. I used to build high rises in San Diego, luxury condos, luxury apartments, things of that nature. And I grew up in the trades as a finished carpenter. My dad was a painting contractor. My wife's dad is a general contractor. It's in my blood. And now I love help selling these types of homes. So I figured what better place to do a video like this than standing in a new construction home here in the Treasure Valley. Again, my name is Curtis Chism, and I love helping people just like you make the move here. Let's get after everything you need to know about buying a new construction home. And we're gonna start with some of the basics about the lingo that builders use, and then also who some of the builders are in the Valley that a lot of my clients end up choosing to work with. The first thing you need to know is that there are a lot of builders throughout the Treasure Valley, and people moving here from out of state really love the new construction homes. Again, virtually all my business is new construction. In fact, I have 11 contracts open right now, and they are all new builds. And they range from spec homes to homes that are being built specifically for that client. So there's two different terms you need to know, two main terms, and that is a spec home or a move-in ready or quick move-in, QMI. You'll see these as well. And these are all homes that have been pre-designed by the builder. Everything has been chosen by the builder and their designer, and there really is nothing that you can do as far as choices in that home. So you have to decide if you like that home. The good thing about that, the benefit, is that you're able to move into that home relatively quickly. The home could be already built and done and ready to move in, or it could be in process. So it might be 3, 4, 5 months out, or worst case, it could simply be planned and not built yet, and they're waiting for a contract. There's gonna be a few different meanings to that term. The other term is going to be a build home. So you'll hear builders say this quite a bit. They'll say, when you build with us. Now, when you build with us, that means it is basically build to suit. You get to select your lot, you get to select your floor plan, and you get to select certain structural options. Did you want a 3-car garage? Did you want an RV bay? Do you want that office to be an office, or do you want that to be a bedroom or maybe a formal dining room? All different sorts of structural choices of that nature. And you get to pick all of your finishes as well. You get to pick your countertops, you get to pick your plumbing fixtures, your toilets. Did you want elongated toilets or the squatty ones? And what you're gonna find is that most builders are going to start with a fairly basic home, and then you're gonna upgrade from there. So depending on the builder, it's gonna be really basic, or it's gonna have a little bit higher quality finishes to start, and then you're upgrading from there. So, and then there's certain builders that don't give you that option at all. They're only going to be spec homes. Something else you're gonna find when you're working with new builders is that there are sales centers all throughout the Valley here, and there are builder representatives where you can just walk in, you can talk to them. However, if you do want third-party representation, like myself, to work with you, then you really wanna make sure that you're not going in by yourself, unless you're just going in not giving your information. But otherwise, if you walk into these places without a real estate agent that you're choosing to work with, then most likely you're not gonna be able to have that third-party representation. And there's a lot of problems that come along with that because the building process can take a long time. There are a lot of frustrations that can occur along the way, and there's a lot of things you need to look out for. And it's really helpful to have someone like myself who has a lot of experience in new construction homes and in construction management to be on the lookout for you while that home's being built, help walk you through the contract, and just help smooth out the process overall. There has been quite a few times where I have been contacted after the fact, after someone's already gotten into contract with a builder, or they're simply talking with the builder. They realize they're getting railroaded by that builder rep because that rep is just looking out ultimately for their employer, which is the builder, and not for you. They're nice people, but at the end of the day, they're looking out for them. And what's really fascinating, there is one builder here in town that they pay their builder reps their commissions up front once the contract is signed, and that builder rep is responsible for ongoing communications with you throughout the entire construction process. What kind of incentive do you think that rep has to make sure you have an amazing experience the whole way through when they've already been paid their salary or their commissions once they sign that contract? Very little. I found that some of my clients have been really frustrated by that particular builder because of that process, because that rep has just moved on to the next sale. Now, fortunately, I have developed really good relationships with a lot of the builders here in town because I do bring them a lot of business through this YouTube channel, and they like working with me because I'm ethical, but I'm also honest and I don't deal with their BS. and I call them out when needed, but I have good relationships with them and they like working with me. And so there's been a couple times where this happened. A client already was talking with that builder rep. They had already made contact. They were maybe even getting pricing and then realized they needed my help, brought me in, and that builder allowed me to represent them. So it can happen thanks to the relationships I have, but it's best to reach out to me first, then let's go talk to the builder and find exactly what you want. Let's talk through some of the builders here in the Valley, levels of quality. Of course, I need to be careful. I don't want to disparage anybody. If someone thinks they're a higher quality builder, then perhaps they are. But there are a very wide range of builders here. I'm gonna stick with some of the larger builders, but there are some smaller builders you're gonna wanna consider as well. And there are just a lot of smaller builders throughout the Treasure Valley. So sometimes I don't know every single one. It's hard to know every single contractor that's out there, but let's start with the big one. So we're gonna start with CBH Homes. That used to be called Corey Barton Homes, who of course was the founder and owner of this company. They are a local company, specifically here to the Boise and Treasure Valley area. What I will say about that is because they're local, they have a huge brand presence throughout the Treasure Valley. You're gonna see big displays from them at the Boise airport. And I think they really do care. I will say that they are the most entry level. So if budget is your overwhelming concern, that's gonna be your best bet. They only build spec homes. You're not gonna be able to modify anything. And it's purely what's gonna be on the market at that time of what you're gonna be able to purchase from them. There's no interest list. There's no building with them and selecting your lot. It's just what's available. Now, because of that, you are able to see exactly what you're gonna get, but I do feel like the overall quality and finishes are relatively basic. I have found that they do have some really great programs available, like great incentives for sure, probably some of the best in the Valley right now. Those incentives may go away with builders as the economy improves and the real estate market improves, but CBH is still offering some fantastic incentives and they have some really good contingencies. They do allow home sale contingencies. They even allow you to purchase the home and then give you a couple weeks to come out and view it in person and deciding that you actually want to go through on that, and you'll still get your earnest money deposit back. Most builders do not have any sort of contingencies, so you're stuck. There's very few home sale contingencies allowed. I'll go through that with each of the builders, but generally speaking, you're not going to have contingencies allowing you to back out of the contract, which makes it a little bit more risky to purchase a home. Now from there, you also have builders like Hayden, Lennar, and Hubble Homes. Now Hayden and Hubble are effectively local. Hayden is not based here, but they do have a big presence throughout the Pacific Northwest, and they build a lot of homes through the Treasure Valley. Now they only build to suit type homes. They don't really build any spec homes. The only time you can get a spec home with them is if there was a cancellation and then they're reselling that specific house. So you're able to go select your lot and select all your finishes. What I have found is their floor plans tend to be a little bit on the smaller side. They're also gonna have a fairly basic level of finish starting out that you're then gonna have to upgrade quite a bit from there. And this is really where a lot of the builders sort of get you, is that they have a lower entry price and then it ends up being a lot more expensive when you actually add in all the options that you want. In general, you're probably gonna need a budget somewhere between 5 to 10% of your purchase price or more. So figure probably 25 to 50,000 in general, maybe up to 100,000, depending on how far you want to go with adding extra bays and patio covers, things like that may or may not come with the home. From there, you've got Hubble and Lennar. Now, Lennar has a lot of features that are going to be similar to Hubble. They have things that I think are really awesome, like conditioned crawl spaces. Conditioned crawl spaces are on the raised foundations that we typically have here in Idaho. There's no vents around it, and it's completely sealed off, and they're bringing in conditioned air from the home to keep that temperature more stable throughout the winter and summertime, keeps your floor temperature stable, keeps moisture out, and keeps any critters out. Now, really, Hubble, Lennar, and then just some of the higher end builders are using conditioned crawl spaces, but not all of the high end builders too. So I think it's a really great feature that both of these builders provide and helps to set them apart. Now, I find that Hubble, being a local builder, they really care the most from what I can tell. Not to disparage Lennar, but they are a big national builder. When things go wrong, they don't really care because they're backed by people like Warren Buffett and they've got tons and tons of money. I think that the overall quality between Hubble and Lennar homes, Hubble wins out. And then between Hubble and Hayden homes, I feel like they're a similar level of quality overall. I think that the entry level Hubble is going to be a little bit lower quality in terms of your overall finishes, that Hayden kind of steps up with certain things like a Sun Valley texture on the wall versus orange peel, but you can certainly upgrade it into Sun Valley with Hubble as well. Then from there, you get into a wide range of builders. Let's start with Toll Brothers, who's going to be the most well-known national builder. I feel like overall their level of quality is pretty solid. You look them up, they're not going to have the best reviews throughout the Valley. I think they had a bit of a rough start here in the Valley. They bought a builder called Coleman Homes a couple years ago, and I think that transition was a little bit rough for them. From what I've seen, their overall quality is certainly improving, But what I have found is you do got to stay on them to ultimately get the finished product that you want. One client I had at a very loud return air event, and we were just told that's the way it is, too bad, and they weren't going to fix it. And I had to fight them over it quite a bit. And I ultimately got him to make a phone call, the superintendent, and get the HVAC contractor out. And they dropped the decibel level significantly from the 60s down into the 40s. But again, that wouldn't have happened without someone like me essentially bullying them at the end of the day to make it happen. I hate to have to do that, but I have to do what's best for my clients. And like I said, they're one of the builders that likes working with me and is willing to allow me to help represent people, even when sometimes you don't reach out to me right away. But please don't do that with them. It's a rare circumstance. But even though I was firm with them, they recognized that I was right, and they wanted to do what was best for the client at the end of the day. So Toll Brothers has a lot of subdivisions throughout the valley, especially in Star. They have 5 subdivisions in Star, although one of those is almost sold out right now. I believe Clina Vista, by the time this is released, could be completely sold out. But they're opening new ones. They have a new one coming in Cuna with Paloma Ridge. They also have a subdivision in Middleton with the Meadows at West Highlands, and of course Oaks North in Meridian. Also a subdivision in Nampa called Carriage Hill West, and they have one coming to Caldwell also. And then you have Tresidio and Berkeley. These are very similar builders that build in a lot of the same communities. Interestingly enough, almost any community you go in, if there's one, there's going to be the other builder. I've done quite a few deals with Tresidio. Again, they like me as well. I like working with them, and I think they have a really high quality product overall. You're going to have certain things right out of the gate that you're not going to have with other builders. You're going to have 9-foot ceilings standard, oftentimes even 10-foot, potentially vaulted ceilings as well that look awesome, and the level of finishes with quartz in the kitchens and the bathrooms, conditioned crawl spaces you're going to find. And Berkeley is going to be similar too. They're going to have those conditioned crawl spaces for you, very, very energy efficient, which is awesome, and just a higher level of finish overall. I found that the process with both of these is fairly smooth, depending on if you're building or buying a spec home. What I have found though, interestingly enough, is that actually Hubble Homes has the best closeout process. They will bring in the warranty guy, they'll bring in their couple superintendents, and they have a very consistent process that they work through to close out, and they're really good at following up with their warranty as well. I have found that Lennar is pretty good. They bring in a warranty guy. However, they do fight you quite a bit on things that they will consider construction standard, like stains on the concrete driveway that are there and they just can't get them off. They're not as careful during the construction process is what I've found, and they will fight you on that, and you're just dealing with a warranty guy who's trying to do everything he can to make you happy, but he didn't build the home. A builder like CBH, they just bring in their superintendent, no warranty guy, and it's a really brief process. Tresidio, they bring in their superintendent. Berkeley just brings in their superintendent. They don't actually bring in their warranty people to talk with you. And so what I found in these cases is no fault of the superintendents. It's just that they are very, very busy, and then they're having to stop their busy jobs of building homes and explain how your house actually works and how things function and what the warranty processes are, and they tend to forget the things that they need to cover in absolute detail. So that's where I come in and I kind of help fill in the gaps and be like, hey, did you know about this? You know, maybe not use this cleaner here, because I've done so many of these. I know what you need to look out for. So I kind of help them through that process. And then there's definitely some higher end builders like Boise Hunter Homes. These are pretty much going to be your $1 million homes. They are sold out of their Sky Mesa subdivision in Meridian, but they are starting a new subdivision in Star, and they still are building quite a bit in Dry Creek, pretty much only in the hills and the estates. Now the hills are cool because they have pretty good views. Generally speaking, it is built on a little bit of a hill up in the foothills just beyond Eagle. And then you have the estates, and the estates are 1/2 acre and 1 acre estates. Now, what I have found, because this is the builder that has where they pay the commissions up front, again, that customer service over the long term, I find to be a little bit lacking. So there is a little bit more babysitting that's going to have to occur during that process, and that's where I come in to help you with that. Now, some of the things you need to look out for in these contracts, depending on the builder, they're going to be very, very simple to much more complicated. So a builder like CBH or Hubble, they're going to have very low earnest money deposit requirements, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1%, we'll say, about $5,000, $6,000 typically. And usually that's about it. Now, some of them could have liquidated damages thrown in there, meaning if you back out that they can come after you for a little bit more money, but you're really only liable for maybe $10,000 or so for a spec home. Now, once you start getting into builds, things get a little bit more complicated, because as you get into the showroom, they are going to require you to come in with additional funds to cover the showroom upgrades that you're selecting. And that's going to vary depending on the builder. But generally speaking, I would plan that if you make any showroom upgrades, plan for probably about a 50% deposit. So if you make $50,000 in upgrades, plan to come in with another $25,000. It could be less, it could be more, but I would plan for about 50%. Now, with a couple of the builders like Toll Brothers and Boise Hunter Homes, they also add promissory notes. So this is kind of like the liquidated damages I talked about. So for builds, they're gonna have you come in with a 4% earnest money deposit, but then a 6% promissory note. And again, that means if you back out of the contract, they can come after you for that extra 6%. Boise Hunter Homes, they are gonna require a 10% earnest money deposit up front and a 6% promissory note. So you're on the hook for 16% should you back out of that build job. So most people don't back out because that is a lot of money to lose on a $1 million+ home. You're looking at $160,000 on up. And the other interesting thing about Boise Hunter Homes is they also have a clause where if you get into a heavy dispute with them over contractor deficiency, construction deficiencies, and basically it's gonna cost them too much money, they have the right to purchase your home within 10 years of you making these disputes at what you originally purchased that house for. So if the value goes up 20% over 5 years and you get into a dogfight with them because they did something wrong, I'm not saying that they would, but if it happens, then they could just go purchase your home. It's in the contract. So you got to watch out for this fine print that's in these contracts with each of these builders and know what you're signing yourself up for. Well, that's an overview of buying a new construction home here in the Treasure Valley. Of course, there's more, but if you just reach out to me via phone, text, or email at the contact information listed below, we'll jump on a Zoom call and we'll work through the exact process that's going to work for you with the specific builder and answer all your questions along with your timeline to get you into a beautiful new construction home here in Idaho. So just reach out via phone, text, or email. Again, we'll jump on that Zoom call. And if you are looking to explore more about the Treasure Valley, all you got to do is watch this video here where we dive in deeper on everything you know about living in the Boise, Idaho area. See you on the next video.